Hello everyone, my name is Gianna Belcastro and welcome to the last episode of Season 2 of the Women's Sports Matter podcast. I know, this is shocking, it's terrible, this is everyone's worst nightmare, but I have been really busy with school, and so if you think about it, it doesn't make sense for me to do podcast episodes because school comes before hobbies, and this is a hobby. So I'm ending the season today. Now, before I tell you when I'm coming back, I would just like to say that this season was better than last season. I had so much fun doing all this stuff. So much fun doing all these different interviews. I really liked the interviews for this season. It went so well. I listened back to some of my episodes, which I hate doing, by the way, but I listened back and I'm like, wow, I've really progressed with how I've handled everything here, and I'm proud of myself, which I don't really take the time to say. But I really, really, really enjoy doing this. So last season, when I said I was ending it, I took a couple months off. But I will be coming back in about 1 month for my anniversary. I'll do a little special episode. I don't know exactly what I'm going to do for that yet, but I'm really excited to plan for that because that'll be during the time where school will be winding down. Can't believe the school year's almost over, but I still got a lot to do. I got a few papers that are going to be really long and hard to write. I still got to make a decision for school because that'll be fun. If I do figure out where I'm going, I'll make a little episode about that and talk about my future and what I hope to do in the women's sports world. But before we get to ending this season, I want to go to our last commercial break of the season to hear about today's sponsor, Anchor. Let's hear that commercial break and the wonderful ad reads. Okay, it's time for a commercial. Hey everyone, it's Gianna Belcastro from the Women's Sports Matter podcast, and today I'm going to be discussing the sponsor of this show, Anchor. If you haven't heard about Anchor, it's the easiest way to make a podcast. Let me explain. It's free. There are creation tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or computer. Anchor will distribute your podcast for you so it can be heard on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and many more. You can make money from your podcast with no minimum listenership. It's everything you need to make a podcast in one place. Download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started. It's always so nice to go and look back or to listen back at how that commercial sounds because I am proud of it. That's the best thing I've done all season is that one commercial, everyone, okay? So to end the season, I want to talk about the Women's March Madness tournament. I really wanted UConn to win, but after they lost to Arizona, I wanted Arizona to win, but they lost to Stanford. So, also that Stanford-South Carolina game was good. All the games in this tournament were good. I did not get to watch the final. I was busy with family. And sometimes you gotta take some time to get off your devices and watching TV and just spend time with family. Although, I'm one to talk because I literally was working on homework while I was by my grandma's house too. Because just because you're on spring break doesn't mean the homework ends, you know? Love being in college and still having homework. I can't wait when it's I'm out of school and I don't have homework, like I'm not being graded anymore, because that's one thing that bothers me. Like ever since I've started college, it's been weird, because there's this immense pressure that I've put on myself to excel in school, because I was a little mad. I was really upset when I didn't graduate with honors in high school. I was really close to it, though. Not really. The thing is, like, GPA of 3.5, and I had a 3.4 or something, 3.3. I messed up my sophomore year, so that just like sent me packing for not getting honors. But I am on track to graduate with honors as of right now. So I don't know, numbers, like grades, really freak me out. I keep telling my friends how bad my grades are, and they're like, literally, you're doing fine right now. Like, you have nothing to worry about. And I'm like, okay. But I still have, like, an 86 in this class, and they look at me, and they're like, Gianna, what, like, you have an 86. I also was complaining to my friend Gerald, and I was like, hey, I'm really mad. I have a 96 in English. And he looks at me, and he goes, a 96? That's good. I was like, yeah, but the teacher kind of, like, didn't, like, give me the grade that I thought I would get. And he was like, it's a 96. Calm down. And then he was telling me about all his awful grades, because he's a STEM major, I think. I don't know, finance major. So he has to take all these hard classes and everything like that. And I'm stuck with the gen eds. And he also goes to school in Canada, so not really one to compare between U.S. and Canadian schools. But yes, grades in schools stress me out. I think I'm a little stressed out with, like, the numerical part of everything. It is because of, like, getting into schools. Like, that was my one big thing that I was worried about. Last year, I didn't get into the school that I wanted to go to, but I got into it this year. But then they didn't give me any scholarship money. So I was like, okay, I'm not going there. It was kind of, like, disappointing, because I worked so hard to get into the school. But I do have, like, a final 3/2. I don't know. We shall see. If you don't follow me on Instagram or Twitter, on Twitter you can follow me at WSM Podcast, and on Instagram you can follow me at Women's Sports Matter. I guess I'll be posting wherever I go to school there. My plan is to study sport management or journalism, or maybe both, because I feel like I could do this for a living. It was really fun. Maybe work for a company in podcasting, or eventually become like a sportscaster or something like that. Or I can work in a front office. That's fun. I don't know. I'm only 18, almost 19. I can dream big for now. Focus on school. And do this podcast in my free time. But, I don't know. I've been lagging. Like, I want to do a podcast episode twice a week. And I feel bad that I don't do it. I like to think that people don't listen to my podcast, but when I look at the numbers, I'm like, okay, people definitely tune in when I post. I don't think that people, like, miss out when I don't post an episode. I don't think anyone is generally, like, sad. Unless they are, then, like, okay, thank you for listening. But man, finding the energy sometimes to do 2 episodes in a week. And it's hard to get guests on here too, because I'm like a small podcaster with not that much experience. But I've had good guests on here too. Late Night Thoughts with Gianna. This is 11:30 right now when I'm recording this. I don't know how long this episode is going to be. I don't want to just ramble on. Okay, so today, when you're listening to this, hopefully it's April 6th, which means that your local community is having what is called the April 6th Consolidated Elections. So let's talk about those elections really quick. I voted by mail this time. So I did my research first before voting, of course, because I wouldn't just vote all Democrat or anything before knowing, because that's the side of the political spectrum that I identify as, But it's more than just like political parties. You're voting for your city council, and you're voting for the school boards for your school district, and the school boards for your community college. Like, I turned, because my ballot had a backside too. So I looked at the back and was like, oh, there's elections happening at my community college that I'm at. I was like, that's interesting. Had to do my research for that too. Picked who to vote for that. And I put my ballot in the mail. I wish that mail-in ballots came with stickers, because I voted 3 times now, and I've never gotten a sticker, which is upsetting, because I have this whole sticker collection, and I'm pretty proud of it. I don't really put my stickers anywhere, which is kind of weird, because I have all these stickers, and you think I'd put them somewhere. I don't want to put them on my laptop. I'd rather put them on like a MacBook or something like that. I don't know what kind of laptop I have. It's a Dell computer, I think. Like Asus or something. It's ASUS. I don't know how to say it. But that's the kind of computer that I have, and I don't want to put stickers on it, because it's just such a nice looking computer. The struggles of having these stickers, man. I would tell a story about stickers, but I'm not going to, because too personal. It just popped in my head. Oh well. I hope my volume for this episode is okay, because it is 11:30. I'm in the office. Everyone else is 2 floors up. I don't know if they can hear me or not. I heard a noise. Is someone there? I think someone is on the main floor. Before I go and end this wonderful episode, I want to give a huge shout out to my listeners in different countries. Let me just pull up my demographics real quick, because I get to see that, and it's honestly so beautiful. So if you're listening, like, from these places, I want to say a big thank you, Of course, the majority of my listeners are from the U.S., and a lot of them are from Illinois, which is where I'm from. I think it's mostly like family members and like cousins, relatives, stuff like that, and friends and people that I used to go to school with, or like acquaintances or something like that. And then, yeah. But 33% of my listeners are from my state, so that's cool. And then we have people from all over the country, including like DC, Georgia, New York, Connecticut, Washington State, Texas, Wisconsin, Oregon, Ohio. Like, that's very cool. Thank you so much for listening. Ireland is second on this list, and then Poland is third, which, like, that's really cool. I have 6 different regions from my Polish listeners, so thank you so much. Like, when I was talking to my friend, I was like, all these people in these different countries, like, do they know what I'm saying? Because I don't know if they know English or not, because that's the only language that I know. I know a little bit of French and a little bit of Italian. But I know that countries in Europe mostly, like, learn, like, 2 languages in school. So, if you know English and you're listening from this country, thank you. I don't know how you found the podcast or why you listen, but thank you. Mexico is 4th on this list. We got some German listeners. 3 different regions that I've never heard of, but thank you again for listening from there. Canada. Fun, right? My friend lives in Canada, so that's why they're on that list, probably. United Kingdom, which is just England. Got some English folks listening. New Zealand. That's cool. Singapore, Australia, Sweden, Belgium, India, Serbia, Turkey, Switzerland, Spain, and Honduras. Like, thank you for listening. It means a lot. And it's great to know that most of my audience is female too, but I feel like I wish I had more male listeners, because I don't know, I just want everyone to learn about women's sports and the power that it holds, especially after what happened with Sedona Prince and her posting on TikTok about the disparities between the men's and the women's March Madness tournaments, and how basically her social media presence from Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok just changed what they received at the tournament. And again, if you don't know what I'm talking about, you can listen to my episode that I posted on March 23rd, which is titled Title IX and NCAA Athletics. It's 33 minutes long, but it basically talks about how, since this is like a school supported activity, that it has to follow Title IX guidelines, which means that it has to be equal everything. So they broke the law. That's basically the gist of it, but I highly recommend listening to that episode. Also, with current stuff happening in the United States, and if you want to learn more about anti-trans bills, there's an episode titled Let's Talk About Anti-Trans Bills. Today, the Arkansas governor vetoed an anti-trans bill, saying that it went too far, but I'm pretty sure it's going to be passed, because in Arkansas they have a simple veto law, which will give them the power to make it a law, which is very sad. And finally, if you're catching up on my last 3 episodes, there's an off-topic discussion about climate change with my friend Georgia Scar, who I met through the climate group that we are in together. And if you want to learn more about, like, politics in the United States, and you're from, like, another country, and you want to learn more about, like, differing opinions, you can listen to an episode that was published in late December of last year, titled Off-Topic Discussion, branching out with Zach Bernhard. He's a guy that I went to school with. We were locker neighbors. He's a Republican, and I'm a Democrat. We talked about different political opinions. It's almost 2 hours long, but it's a good listen. So I think you guys should check that one out. Yeah. Wow, my season 1 finale was in August. It was 38 minutes long. This one is not going to be as long. And then I didn't come back until November. August, September, November. Like 3 months. I won't be gone that long. Maybe 2 months. Maybe right when I'm finished with school. But I'm coming back for the anniversary of the pod. 1 year and a month. Which is cool. I actually posted my trailer on April 28th, but my very, very, very first episode was posted a month ago today, but that's May 5th, 2020, which I recorded from the laundry room in my old house because I needed total peace and quiet. And yeah, if you want to listen to the very, very, very first episode, you gotta scroll back a long time. It's a 12-minute episode, but if you're gonna binge, might as well binge on that one. No, I'm kidding. I think my earlier episodes are a little weaker in the sides of like of what I'm talking about. My favorite episode, maybe EA Sports and FIFA are cowards. I talk about how I wish they put women's pro teams on FIFA, like the NWSL. Like, I want to play as the Chicago Red Stars. Or if they put more women on the selection of the U.S. women's national team, because they're always changing people out, you know. Or to play as Chelsea Women's FC. To play Chelsea Women's versus Arsenal Women's, oh my god, that'd be so much fun. My favorite interview that I've done this season would have to be the one with Zach was good. We did have some nice conversations, kind of. I still don't know how I feel about that. My favorite interview, which doesn't have a lot of plays here, but my favorite interview is a Conversation O'Clock with Brooke Wyckoff, who is the interim head coach for Florida State University's women's basketball team. She led her team to the March Madness tournament and unfortunately lost to, I believe, was Oklahoma State. I can check really quickly. Or like Oregon or something. Also, whose brackets did well, because mine didn't. And all my brackets that I picked, let me talk about men's brackets real quick before we talk about what happened with Wyckoff's team. So, my best bracket is in 70,000th place, or that's what it says, 70K. And that was Baylor for it to win. But I had Baylor playing against Gonzaga, and I said the game was going to be 70-68. And my final four for that was Georgetown, Gonzaga, San Diego State, and Baylor, which I don't know what was up with that. This bracket had 119 points and 133 upset points, and I was in the 96th percentile, which I don't know what that's supposed to mean. Okay, for the men's tournament, I had 10 brackets, and this is who I picked to win. Baylor, Michigan, Gonzaga, Ohio State, Iowa, Loyola, Illinois, West Virginia, Oregon State, and Georgetown. My worst bracket, well, the worst ones are Oregon State and Georgetown, and my best one is Baylor. The second best one is Michigan, but that was bad. I only had a few brackets for the women's because I was so torn up on, like, who was going to win. and who wasn't. Like, in the Syracuse-South Dakota State game, I thought South Dakota State was going to win because I know they're good, but that didn't end up happening. That was the first one that I picked wrong was Oklahoma State and Wake Forest. And Wright State and Arkansas. Wright State won that game. I really thought Arkansas was going to win because they beat UConn earlier in the season. Everyone thought that Central Florida was going to beat Northwestern, and I was like, nope, I'm sticking with my hometown team, Northwestern, all the way, and they beat them 62-51. I did not see one bracket that had Northwestern winning that game, which is offensive. Yeah, Florida State lost really bad to Oregon State, but Wyckoff had a good season with their team. I actually picked Florida State to play against South Carolina. But that's unfortunate, you know. I thought, again, UConn was going to win, but I did have Stanford in that championship game. Who did I have in the Elite Eight? Yeah, I have South Carolina. Yeah, I had South Carolina. No, Final Four, I had Stanford, South Carolina, and then UConn and Texas A&M. Because I thought Texas A&M was gonna win that one against Arizona. For the most part, I had Arizona. The section with Texas A&M and Arizona was perfect. And I thought UCLA was going to beat Texas. And I thought Maryland was going to beat UCLA, but they ended up playing Texas. And then Maryland lost that one. I knew South Carolina was going to win the Hemisphere region. The only region that I got wrong was the Mercado region. I had Texas A&M winning that one. I thought Gonzaga was going to beat Belmont. That didn't happen. And I thought Gonzaga was going to beat Indiana. But no, Indiana actually did really well in this tournament. So did Michigan. Big Ten really showed up in this tournament. But Pac-12 is here to play. They really said, watch out for us. I really thought Oregon was going to beat Louisville. I was really upset when they didn't. But then again, I wanted Northwestern to beat Louisville, and I was really upset. I watched that game, and my heart was broken. Like, Veronica Burton, Lindsey Pulliam, like, oh my God. But Lindsey's declaring for the draft, so everything's going to be okay, and Chicago better draft her, because she's good. She wasn't good in that game in Louisville, but she was good. I wanted to make an episode about my bracket, but I never got to it. I was just lazy and dealing with school. I was surprised when Michigan beat Tennessee. Like, I was doing all fine in that area of the bracket until they lost. And once South Dakota State lost, and once Wake Forest lost, my bracket's over. I knew that Iowa was gonna beat Kentucky, and I knew that UConn was gonna beat Iowa. I knew it was gonna happen there. That region of the bracket could have been perfect, but it wasn't, because it's March Madness and anything can happen. That UConn-Baylor game was wild. I didn't watch it, but that was definitely a foul, and anyone else that says that it wasn't is a liar. But there was also a foul call that was missed on the other end of the floor, so I guess it equals out, you know. But I guess we'll never know. I really thought Michigan was going to beat Baylor, too, in that game. Sorry, guys, I'm, all over the place. But after, all the viewership and ratings for this tournament, we all know that the women's game is just going to continue to grow. And And they really should have put that title game on ABC instead of ESPN. But at one point, there were 5.3 million viewers of the Women's March Madness Championship game. And, that goes to show how much you need to continue to put women's sports on TV. Because there's a market for it. Maybe one of the first episodes when I come back, I'll talk about viewership and ratings and how we can continue to grow from here. But that's all. So, if you like listening to this episode, I'm sorry, but there will not be another one until a month from now. So I guess you're going to have to wait. But I did highlight some episodes from earlier in the season. So, if you want to check those out, those are my last 3 episodes that I've uploaded. So, give them a listen. I'm really pumped for next season. I'll probably be making it in the summer and when I'm away for school. So that's fun. And my 1-year anniversary, I'll be revealing where I'm going to school because I'll have to know by then for sure. So I guess if you're interested in that, stay tuned. Thank you so much for listening to another episode of the Women's Sports Matter podcast. My name is Gianna Castro, and I am your host. I'll be taking a few months off for school to finish up the school year. Like I did last time when I said I was ending the season for season 1. I really enjoyed everything that I did this season. I'm really excited for the next one. If you want to follow me on Instagram, you can. Look up Women's Sports Matter, and I'm on Twitter at WSM Podcast. If you have suggestions for anything, my email is down below. Also, my Twitter DMs are open, and my DMs are open on Instagram. If you're someone that wants to collab, message me, of course. I'd be willing to do that, of course, in the future. Again, thank you so much for listening, and I'll see you next season. Stay tuned for the anniversary episode and the podcast trailer for season 3. For the last time this season, my name is Gianna Castro, and that is all, folks. See you next time. Bye.